There was a time where there were actual conversations about who was a better point guard, Chris Paul or Deron Williams. To the NBA fans of today's generation, that may seem absurd, considering the only time they've seen Deron Williams play was during his time as a member of the Cleveland Cavaliers. But there was a time where Deron Williams was one of the most lethal players in the NBA. The question is, what happened? Where did this fall from grace even begin? And that's what we're going to dig deeper in. Let's get to it. Deron Williams was one of the most polarizing point guards when coming into the NBA. In the 2005 NBA draft, he was selected 3rd overall by the Utah Jazz, which was one spot ahead of his rival, Chris Paul. In the first few years, Deron Williams wasn't anything special, but he did show glimpses of what he would eventually become. In only his second season against the Memphis Grizzlies, Deron Williams had a game with 21 assists. Not only was it a career high in assists that still remains to this day, but it also put his playmaking abilities on display for the entire basketball world. It was a performance that shouted, "I have arrived." And the NBA world definitely took notice of that. Williams continues to get better and better over the years. Despite not being an All-Star, he was selected to the All-NBA second team in only his 3rd season. He would eventually make his first All-Star appearance 2 years later in 2010, while also being selected to his second All-NBA second team. Life for Deron Williams was great, and he was considered by many fans to be the best point guard in the NBA. And if it wasn't Deron Williams who you thought was the best, it was Chris Paul. Eventually, he would be traded to the New Jersey Nets in 2011, but although it was a change of scenery, the consistency and dominance continued. In only his 2nd season as a member of the Nets, Williams had a game for the ages. A game in which he dropped 57 points, along with 6 rebounds and 7 assists against the Charlotte Bobcats. In that season, Deron Williams had his best scoring season at 21 points per game. At just 27 years old, it seemed like Deron Williams had the best season of his career and that he was entering his prime. But from what we look at now, it seemed like he was falling out of it. Williams' scoring totals continued to decrease each season, from averaging 18.9 points in the 2013 season to 14.3 points in the 2014 season, all the way to his last run in the NBA in 2017, in which he only averaged 11 points per game. But what happened? What happened to the guy that was averaging 21 points per game, just came off a season where he had 57 against a team? Not anyone can drop 57 points in a game. If you look at all the players who have dropped at least 55 points, those are all superstar caliber players. Those are all star level players. No scrub is dropping 50 points in an NBA game. But what happened to Deron Williams? There wasn't any catastrophic injuries that he suffered, like a torn ACL or even any gruesome injury that we've seen Sean Livingston or Paul George suffer. But injuries were the reason for the downfall of Deron Williams. Nagging ankle injuries eventually hindered the productivity of Deron Williams. The player who once challenged Chris Paul for the top spot of point guards in the NBA had his opportunity stripped because of injuries. Despite suffering these injuries constantly, it didn't result in a decrease in efficiency. He continued to shoot in the mid 40 percentile range from the field and around 35% from 3 over the course of his final 5 seasons. Now that is amazing shooting numbers, but just that he wasn't able to stay on the court long enough. And although he did play at least around 50 games each season, it was just that he wasn't able to get that same productivity that he did back when he was fully healthy. And a part of it is, when you get injured, there's always that psychological effect that you can't make this certain move. You can't come off the screen a certain way because you're scared that you might go through the same experience. Something that we've seen with Derrick Rose, especially during his first few years back from that horrible injury he suffered in the playoffs against Philadelphia. Every time he went to go for a hop step, it wasn't the same natural Derrick Rose we once grew up knowing, the same MVP Derrick Rose. And that's something we see in a lot of players today when they suffer major injuries. And it's just a shame that Deron Williams, a guy who had so much potential and was literally on top of the basketball world when it came to point guards, that he had to go through something like that at such an early age. With that being said, let me know what you guys feel about Deron Williams. For all of you who don't know that much about Deron Williams, I suggest watch some highlights, get educated. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, comment your opinions down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and get notified whenever we upload a new video by hitting that little bell. And it's been your boy Nakeem from Hoop Central, and I'm out. Peace.